Hey, hey, happy Saturday to you all. I am working this Rich Bickle 1999 10-10-345, number 45 for Mr. Michael. This is the last one that I'm doing, and just got some of the rest, not all of them, but most all of the rest of the decals in the water. So I'll put those on for you in this video. I also got some decals from Australia, so that's good news. But I wanted to kind of start off with tying together the PTC mold video that I did the other day. So what we have here is, this is the, well, start with the far left. So this is the stripped down Chase Elliott PTC mold Chevy. And this is the stripped down Kyle Busch Toyota. And what I have here is the donor car that Chris sent me for the 2022 Kyle Busch Monster. So he sent me a Gold Series car that I've stripped down. I haven't wire brushed or scraped anything. It's just stripped. And I wanted to compare it to the PTC mold. So you can see that it just gets worse. It just gets worse, right? So looking at I'll just say the quality of the metal is different. This seems to be, I don't know, it's more durable. I mean, maybe it sounds right. Maybe it's just me, right? But it just seems a different quality, and this is better. I'm not measuring it scientifically, but when you look at the details, so this one has very pronounced hood lines and the hood pins. The hood lines here are less pronounced. There's no hood pins on the PTC mold, and then when you look at these flaps on the hood, these seem to be deeper cuts here, making them very distinguished. Whereas they're a little bit bigger, but it's not as deep of a cut, and so they're less distinguished. It's just a cheaper mold that they used for the PTC mold altogether. I don't see much different on the front, other than this just again seems to be a little bit deeper and more pronounced with the design of the Toyota nose. You can see where the Toyota logo goes right there. It's almost like a little island, whereas here it's just kind of flattened out on the front there. So yeah, and then let's look at the roof line. So you've got the roof lines. They're about the same, but again, they're not as high and they're not as wide. And then, of course, you've got the roof flaps cut into the design. They're not here. They're not anywhere to be found on the die-cast body of the PTC mold. Going to the trunk, this trunk looks a little bit wider here. I don't have a gauge to measure it, but it just looks, it's just a little bit wider. Maybe you can tell, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? And then you've got again, the trunk pins. You've got the pronounced score for where the trunk is here and here, and there's nothing. There's nothing that distinguishes it from, being like an opening trunk or even looking like it. You can see the back here, right? Look, you've got the ingress area there. It's just flat. It's just a flat there. Look at the spoiler. So here you've got a distinguished kind of a 50-50 line there that goes across there. On this one, there's a line, but it's really at the top, and it's just different, and it's not as high. If you kind of look, you can see the spoiler on the right's a little bit higher, maybe not by much, but just a little bit. Go to the side. Again, you can see this is a nice cornered 90-degree corners here. This is kind of rounded. It's just kind of, it goes in, but it's just kind of, it's kind of lazy. And that's what you get on this PTC mold. The B pillars are a little wider on the PTC mold than the EL mold. But yeah, guys, it's just there's a lot of differences, very subtle differences. But obviously underneath it's different because the glass is different and just the way it's constructed is different. The mounting points you can see are brought a little bit lower. You can see it's here, and then here it's kind of up here a little bit. Not too much different on the back. But yeah, guys, it's a cheaper car, no doubt about it. And what's interesting here, so you've got, and I'm just going to read this off. It's hard to see. It says UN. There's a pound symbol. UN 2022, and then you've got some Chinese lettering right there. And then on the EL mold, it just says LO101, maybe it's L0101-D01. So, again, I don't know where the PTC mold originates, but we are looking at a subpar die-cast body very clearly compared, again, this is a Gold Series compared to that. So, thought that was interesting. Figured I'd show you guys that. For those of you that may or may not do customs, you might not ever see that if you're just collectors, right? So, yeah. All right. Hey, let's show the decals that I got. Let's do that next. So, got an order in, and this is a little bit of a mix of some that you guys have requested and some that I chose to buy to make because I think are interesting. So here is, we all know that Kyle Busch is going to Richard Childress next year and driving the 8 car. And I saw this as a fictional scheme because we don't really know who his sponsor is going to be yet, at least that I know of. And this is an iBuyPower number 8. So I figured I might as well just make one of those. I'm going to turn that Chase Elliott PTC mold into one of these Kyle Busch 2023's fictional scheme iBuyPower. So I had the black background removed, and we'll give that a go. All right, you know how I like Chastain now. A lot of people like Ross Chastain, and so thought this was interesting. Pitbull had sponsored him back earlier in the 2022 season, and with the black background removed, this is the Can't Stop Us Now Pitbull Tour. What does that say? Pitbull, Zachor. I'm not sure what that says, but anyways, this is the Pitbull Tour sponsored car that he drove earlier in the season. Figured I'd make that. Sedaris, you asked for the Landon Castle Fox Nation, so I had the blue background removed. Haven't decided if I'm going to do a color shot or maybe the Rust-Oleum, whether brilliant blue or deep blue. We'll see. I'll have to look at the pictures closely and try to match it up. It's a different blue, as I recall, than kind of the standard one, so might play around with that and see what I can come up with for you. You also asked for the BJ McLeod Blaster. I had the orange background removed here, so again, I'll see what colors I've got and try to match that background color on the BJ McLeod Ford Mustang next-gen car. Doesn't look too difficult to make, but interesting that these red, the infamous red Mustang turn signals are separated from the actual back. I don't know why that's whatever. I don't know why. Joey had asked for this, what is this, a Shane Globic 2021 Elk Grove Ford car. I think he drove at Bristol Dirt. So I'll make that with the NOS Energy on the side. That'd be pretty cool. And then Sage, I thought I had some of these number 1 Monster Kurt Busch 2021 car decals left, and I didn't. and so I had to quick order those. My mistake there. Sorry for the delay, but I'll be making this here soon. I got your donor car all ready to go. Just a matter of putting the decals on it and getting ready. So that'll be done here in a few days. And then Michael had asked for a 2019 Chris Buescher Clorox. So here, trying to decide, right, do I have the red background removed, the blue? There's a white along the nose here, and then these, darts that shoot back that are white, and then go to blue, and then transition to the red. So just had the red background removed. It's a little bit easier on the roof, especially for some of these cars, to have that background removed. And of course the whole back side trunk and everything is all red, so decided to go that route. And so yeah, that'll be coming to you here relatively soon, Michael. And then Drake had asked for this fictional, I think it's fictional, Chase Elliott Mountain Dew Baja Blast car. And so, it's an interesting finish on this, and going around looking at the paints that I have and looking at what this color is and kind of the different shades, I said, you know what, let's just leave it, and we'll do a full wrap on that car. So I'll paint it black, and then load it up with these decals, and hopefully that'll turn out nice. So yeah, but that's it, guys. That's my next lot of Paydos decals that are coming in, and you'll be seeing me making those here in the coming days and weeks. All right, so let's get on with this Rich Bickle car. I've got my DAP T keys going, instrumental music, and I got my Steelers cup full of coffee that I made this morning. So let's get going. Put these decals on. Not a very easy car to make, to be honest with you. A lot of really separating out the decals and cutting slits so things kind of fall and drop into place. You can see what I had to do on the hood here. This decal really kind of comes up. All these kind of hot pink colored lines come up, and you have to trim them off. And so what I did was I lay it in place, and then I run my X-Acto knife across and cut them off, and inevitably I nicked the black, so I got to go back and touch that up. But the key for getting this on is I was trying to get these hood pins in place to where they are in the actual car as close as I possibly can. So pre-paint the black along the side skirts on both sides, and I had pre-painted the spoiler, so that's already done. But now we're going to get this front in, and this front, I'll be honest, guys, is a pain in the butt. So hopefully I don't screw it up or take too long. But yeah. And what I've seen on some of these you see these thin line decals that are really skinny like that, they can split on you, and I've had that happen before. So kind of have to work very carefully with these things, just because you don't want them to crack, and then you're piecing things together inevitably. Already had to do that up here on this piece that goes across here from the signature, this little line that cracked in me in 1-2 places. I had to piece it together to get it to go straight. And when you and again, I like these Silk King decals, but they can be a little bit difficult like that, because you've got a lot of pigmentation on there. It's a thicker decal than your laser sharp. I think it gives more vibrant colors, like I've said before. But when you go a little bit thicker, sometimes it will, it'll crack on you when it dries out or gets a little thin. So Let's get some microsol. Yeah, that cracked right there. So just gotta piece it together, and then we'll see if I can get this thing straight. No, it's not straight. Okay. Ever tell you about when I owned a Grand Prix? So I'm a Ford guy. But back in the day, my brother and I, we would go to auctions. We would go to car auctions, and we would buy, cars. And these are cars that, there is a reason they were at car auctions. They were all like either scratched up, or they had like missing interior trim pieces and missing radios, hail damage, just things that the dealers didn't want to keep on their lot, and they just would send them to auction, and maybe they were wrecked and salvaged or whatever. But my brother and I got into buying cars, and we're not mechanics, but we know enough about like changing the transmission fluid and changing out your brake pads and your rotors, and flushing the cooling system, recharging your AC. Mechanically inclined, we would be able to go to the junkyard and buy different parts, whether it's an alternator or interior trim pieces, radios, anything like that, wiring harnesses. I tried to swap out an airbag one time that didn't go so well. But anyways, so I bought a Grand Prix at the auction. It was red. It had that 3.8 liter V6 in it, which is a really good engine. It was missing some interior pieces. It looked like the car had been like stolen, and somebody just trashed it. And so I cleaned it up, and got the interior trim pieces at a junkyard off of a wrecked one. And, my whole purpose was to flip the car. I'd registered my name, and I'd do this work over a 3 to 6 month period. And then, and I'd drive it, maybe put 1,000, 2,000 miles on the car, just because I'd drive it, make sure that it was mechanically sound. And then I would, try to sell it, whether to a friend or, maybe somebody in church or, in the neighborhood or whatever. Maybe somebody needed a car for one of the teenagers or whatever. And it was going to be a safe, reliable car, but on the cheaper end, right? And so that's what I did. And we did this for a few years, actually. And, I ended up making some money. And it was fun. It was, something to do in your spare time and stuff. And anyways, bought a Grand Prix, and as I had fixed it up and got it, to where all the pieces were back on the car, but it was all scuffed up, right? It had scratches and little dents and stuff in the hood and bumpers, front and back, and sides had some scratches. So even though I waxed it up and clay barred it and tried to get it as clean as I possibly could, it really needed a paint job. And that was not something I was going to do. That's too much money. And so I was just going to say, hey, it's mechanically sound, but maybe it doesn't, look the best from that perspective. So anyways, and also needed tires, so I had to get, I was going to get tires for it. But inevitably what happened was, as I was working on it, my brother took a liking to the car. And, he knew what I paid for it. And he's like, hey, why don't you sell it to me? And then I'll have it for a little bit. And then, I can decide if I want to flip it down here in the Chesapeake area where he lived. So my experience with the with the Grand Prix was actually pretty good. It's the only Pontiac I've ever owned. I think I had it for maybe 4 or 5 months. But yeah, it was kind of weird. I was driving it, and a guy rear-ended me. But, it didn't set off the airbags or anything like that. It really just kind of dented in and scuffed the rear bumper. Well, the rear bumper already had, scuffs and marks in it. But, he made it worse. And I was fine. It wasn't anything that was, obviously injuring me. So the guy, was like, hey, we're good, right? And I'm like, what do you mean we're good? I was like, you dented my car. And he's like, well, it's got a bunch of scratches on it already. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. So anyways, yeah, he wasn't too happy with me. He wanted to just walk away, even though it was his fault. Anyways, so I ended up, settling for about $450. And that was to repair, or really to take off the bumper and repaint it, fix it and repaint it. And around this time, my brother had, like I said, he had liked the car. And I'm like, well, hey, I just got $450. And I was going to, get the bumper fixed. And he's like, why would you do that? I'm like, well, because that's what it's for. And he's like, nah, just use that money to buy new tires. And, I'll fix the bumper. And, yeah, so that's what I did. I was at his insurance fraud. I don't know. I had every intention to do that, but anyways, that was a story of my one time I owned a Pontiac Grand Prix. Like I said, I like the car. But I'm a Ford guy. Most of the vehicles that I bought were Fords, whether this is back in the Ford Contour days. Bought Ford Contours and would flip those things. I would buy the ones with the 2.5 liter V6. Had more power than the 4-banger, and it was a good little engine. The only problem with those were the transmissions. The transmissions were kind of underpowered. Not underpowered. They were not strong enough to handle all the power that the engine, the 2.6 or 2.5 liter V6 would put out. So you had to kind of service your transmission, and it was just one of those drain and refill transmissions. So the thought was, every 30,000 miles, just drain it, refill it, drain it, refill it, and there you go. You got to keep that fluid fresh, and use your full synthetic automatic transmission fluid. And so that's what I was doing. And I was telling people when I sold the cars to them, I was like, hey, this is what you got to do. It's a good little car, but if you drive it hard, you're going to burn out your transmission. If you want to take care of it to last, then, don't be jumping on the throttle and going up through the gears, and, just drive it normal. And then every 30,000 miles, just drain it. It had like a little drain, plug on there. And yeah, that was fun. It was good old days. The cars were pretty simple. Not too difficult to drive and maintain. Whoa, my finger's stuck with that. Yeah, gotta watch that. Like I said, the micro sole gets it soft, and sometimes your fingers will stick to it. Careful with that. Okay. Alright, so now we got to go to the front here. let's see. Let's put the headlights on first, because I think the headlights are going to have a little overlap potentially with what's on the side here. These are some big headlights. Yeah, definitely. They're definitely going to have overlap. So, you can see I'm kind of running out of time. But I'll get that headlight in place. Angle it up a little bit more, I think, just a little bit. Now what I did with these side pieces, these little front quarter panel pieces, is I cut them so that I can stack them a little bit better, because they are kind of like the way this curves back. If I left them together as one solid piece, it would come straight up. I want to be able to lay this one a little bit further back to the right there. So we'll get this one on. I'm definitely going to have to put some microsole on that. Get that to lay down there. And then this piece, instead of it, like being right up there, I can kind of bring it back a little bit where I want it to be. See that? And kind of the same thing, I can get a little microsole on there and let it soak in and kind of bend around. So yeah, guys, I am close to 900 subscribers. I can't believe it. So excited and thankful to all of you guys that like my videos and subscribe. I encourage you, if you're watching and enjoying, please subscribe. That'd be awesome. Get to 900, and that's just great. But I say it a lot. I built this channel to encourage people like yourselves to give this custom diecast hobby a go. And if not, you just want to sit back and enjoy, that's great. But if you're a young guy, I saw a message. I had a young guy say, hey, you do a good job. I'm only 12. So yeah, well, you know what? Give it a go. Give it a try. Hone those skills. It may take years, but that's fine. So, all right, guys. God bless. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you in the next video. Take care.